Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the next episode of Reef to Reef Live. And today I have a special guest with me, Don Henderson, who is a flipper for pups on Reef to Reef, and he's going to give us a little talk about QT tags and how they help keep fish and corals in your tank. So let me switch over here to Don for you, and
And um, Thank you for having me on today. Um, it's really good to see us be able to do this. It's pretty cool to be able to come on the show with Ed. So thank you, Ed, for that. And I want to say welcome to the whole Reef to Reef community. And I think this is really cool that Ed's putting this on. And it's very much an honor to be on today, to be able to speak and kind of touch a little bit on quarantine tanks, and that's kind of my topic today is to talk about that and just overviews, nothing really serious. But so anyway, what I wanted to talk about is the importance of having a quarantine tank in the hobby. Our fish, our livestock is very expensive, and we want to be able to give them the best life that we can and provide the best environment for them. So um, I think it's really wise for anybody that's going to spend a huge amount of money in this hobby to have a reef tank with all the equipment and the rock and the corals and everything to go with it, and the fish, especially the fish cost and their health, to have a cheap, and it is relatively cheap compared to everything else that we spend money on, a quarantine system. And you know, the word quarantine really should be kind of put together as observation. So it really has a lot to do with the type of fish that we select, the health of the fish when we go to purchase them, and then having that opportunity to separate that fish or fish from our systems long enough for us to be able to quarantine them to observe their health. And then that gives us an opportunity as well to be able to treat them if necessary. I'm not the type of person, I'm not the type of hobbyist that just arbitrarily will prophylactically treat anything that I buy. I would rather just rely upon the observation period to be able to see if it's healthy enough, and given enough time to show if it's got a parasite or a disease, and then treat for whatever it's showing. Okay, and there's multiple ways of being able to learn what a fish may have if it's showing symptoms, and I would refer anyone on the forum to look at the stickies, read about the fish diseases, get yourself accustomed to that, get it where you kind of understand what you're looking at. And then once you're educated and done the research, then if you don't have a quarantine tank, then absolutely it's worth the time and the effort, because it's really sad, and this is coming from me, it's really sad when you spend a great deal of money on fish and stock them in your system, and then at some point down the road, they all end up getting something and you start losing livestock. So, and case in point, back when I first started in the hobby, I did all that. I did, pop and drop, and was very successful with it for quite some time. And then all it took was one fish that I had purchased, and I ended up losing $300 worth of fish due to ick. And I didn't have a quarantine system, and I didn't have a means of being able to treat them outside the reef. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and touch on just the basics of what a quarantine tank consists of. And like I said, this is used for observation at first and then used later on to be able to treat them if necessary. So it really doesn't take a whole lot. All you really need is a small tank, depending on the size of the fish that you're going to be quarantining. If they're very small fish, then a 20-gallon tank would suffice. All you need is a hang-on back filter, a heater, maybe some PVC pipe for them to feel less stressed, and some live bacteria. And I really kind of promote that, to be able to cycle a tank. I don't keep a quarantine tank running all the time. I only get the quarantine tank out and set it up when I know I'm going to go looking for a fish. And that touches on another subject, is that we want to try our hardest to be able to not, purchase fish on a whim, or what's it called, just walk into a store and go, oh man, that fish is awesome looking, I would love to have that, and just purchase it on the spot. Do your research. You need to know the compatibility. You need to understand its requirements, and what size tank it needs. Does it get along with the other fish that I have? All those factors before you do an impulse. That's the word. Impulse buy. Don't do that. Take your time and do the research and understand what you're getting yourself into. Because once you get a fish in a coral system, it's very hard to get them out, especially if your tank's going to have a lot of rock and coral in it. So do your research, understand what you're going to get, do a complete list of stocking of fish that you're going to look at buying. Make sure that you understand that they're all compatible and that they're going to grow to the proper size for the system that you have running. And then take the time, get yourself a quarantine tank, get you a little tank, hang on the back filter, a heater. If you want to go the route of ammonia badge, do so, get that. So you really do want to have all these things in place, like ammonia badge and things of that nature, but you don't necessarily have to have that. You can add, like I said, a bottle bacteria to help be able to get that tank cycled enough to be able to put fish in it. But you want to have all that set up prior to going out and getting any fish. And like I've said before, that I've learned hard lessons about not having a quarantine tank. And it's really important, I believe, in this hobby, with the amount of money that we spend, that we should have a quarantine set up. You don't have to have it set up all the time, like I said. But in general, I mean, if you stop and think about it, if the fish looks healthy, if you go to a local fish store and looks healthy, and that's a part of your stocking plan, and you can get them to hold it for you, so that you can go and set up your quarantine tank at home. A lot of times a local fish store will do that for you. They'll hold on to it for a couple days so that you can kind of get set up so you can bring it home properly. I would highly recommend doing that. If you're buying a fish online, what I would do is go ahead and set it up, and maybe set your salinity a little high, higher than you would normally set it. And then when that fish arrives, have some reverse osmosis water set up, ready to go. And then what you can do is you can turn around and test the salinity of that bag that fish came in, and then be able to turn around and take some of that salt water out of your quarantine tank and add RO to it until you get the salinity to match the bag, while that fish is in temp acclimation. So anyway, I'm going to invite everybody that watches the video that's new to the hobby, or even seasoned reefers, to stop and think about it again, about setting up a quarantine tank. If you haven't done that in the past and you've been very lucky adding fish to your system, maybe consider it at this point, just because of costs and the aggravation that comes with not having one, and fish getting sick, and next thing you know, you're dealing with your display tank, and then you got to prep everything out to get the fish out, and you're trying to deal with it, after the fact, and you don't want to do that. But I invite everybody to get on the forum, pull up the stickies about quarantine systems. Read everything you can about it. Educate yourself about it. There's a fairly few different ways of being able to do it. Find the one that seems to fit for you, and you know, do go out there and get yourself a cheap little quarantine system and get your feet wet and do it if you've not done it before. And you may find out that that was the right thing to do, you know, and you saved that fish's life by being able to observe it, be able to diagnose whether or not it has a particular disease or a parasite, and be able to deal with it without it being in that display tank. And it's really, really difficult to watch a fish that's sick in your display tank that you put in there. And now all the other fish are potentially going to end up with the same problem. So take the time, do the research, get on the forum, ask questions. If you guys got any kind of questions whatsoever, there's so many of us that are pretty knowledgeable about these kind of things and multitude of other things as well, especially with the Reef Squad. Just hashtag Reef Squad, pose that question. No question is...
Okay, thank you, Don, for going over the QT, and next week we'll talk about more items about QT and fish and corals. So next I wanted to talk about was the partner drive. So let me bring that up, and what we're going to do is talk about this partner drive that's coming up that ends the 25th of October. So this is sponsored by Red Sea, Waterbox, GHL, Saltwater Aquarium, Tunzi, Bulk Reef Supply, Neptune. And what does a partner drive do? Well, it gives you capabilities to do a lot of different things on the forum. You get 10 tickets, you get a t-shirt, and a towel, and Coral View glasses, and reef to reef stickers, and all that kind of good stuff. You get access to a private forum, spiffy banner. You get time limit on editing your posts are unlimited. You get a large avatar size, and you get private messaging auto responses. So you can say if I'm on vacation or whatever, and you can have 3 signature links in your on your signature, and you can have custom thread covers and custom profile covers and user colors. So what other things you get? You get some swag. You get all this swag. You get the t-shirts they got for. It'll have a 2020 partner, and you get a towel, and of course you get the Coral View glasses when you go to Frag Swaps. And everything's blue, plus you get some stickers. And for those that are spend a little bit more money, they can get a nice hoodie, and that'll let you have a hoodie that'll keep you warm while you're out shopping for corals and at Frag Swaps this coming season. So you want to get a chance, make sure you go to this page and click on here and join now. And when you go there, you can join the chance to win all these great prizes up to $15,000 and get help support Reef to Reef and letting you get all the great features you want. So I wanted to bring that up for everybody so that they would know that what was going on. And remember, it's October 25th is the deadline for getting your entry in, so you could get a chance to win all these great prizes. So with that, we want to go to our finish for the day. So see you next week.